Hey Brandon, this is Coach Oltman. I'm just going to run through some video analysis on your mechanics here. I'm going to start by just playing through it in slow motion. I'm actually going to do that again in 1/8 speed. Alright, so when we break down pitching mechanics, we like to look at the 5 different phases. Those are hip load, hip lead, hip separation, release, and follow through. Okay, it's really important that we do that we primarily focus on the first couple, because as we go, it's pitching sequence is like a chain of events. So if there's some problems early in the delivery, then it's going to show up with later problems later in the delivery. And really, most of the problems are usually a result of a problem that occurred earlier. All right, so that's why it's really important that we focus on the first couple, hip load, hip lead, hip separation, because that's going to have a big impact on what your release and follow through looks like. So I don't really like to focus on fixing like release or follow through or even hip separation, because those are all causes of problems that happened earlier in the delivery, if that makes sense. All right, so first one we look at is hip load. During hip load, a couple things I want to see. First, I want to see that front knee lift towards that back shoulder, back ear, which is exactly what you're doing. All right, so that's good. Okay, now as we get there to that point, all right, I want to see what's known as a corkscrew with the back leg. Okay, so this back foot, okay, almost imagine like when you start to go down the mound, this back foot, okay, imagine taking that back foot, grabbing the ground, and then rotating it clockwise to second base. All right, now I know that seems kind of be difficult to understand in a video, but imagine grabbing the ground with your toes or with your foot, and then rotating that back foot towards second base. Okay, and what that's going to do is that's going to activate your glutes, and it's going to send your hips down the mound first. Okay, so when we go into hip lead, what you'll notice is that you get a little bit of a hip load, but for the most part, everything is coming down at the same time. Everything's moving down the mound at the same time. Okay, what we really want to see here is we want to get into a hip load position where not only do we have that front leg moving towards that back shoulder, but I also have a slight elevation in my front hip and front side shoulder. Okay, so that front side hip should be elevated slightly, and that should also set your shoulders to the point where your front side shoulder is also elevated slightly. Okay, and then, like I said, we want to ride that position down the mound as long as possible. Okay, when we watch you, however, okay, leg comes down, all right, hips are going first a little bit. Okay, ideally we want our hips to go first, our head to stay back. But then as we move into front foot strike, okay, your back hip is rotating open early. Okay, so you're super rotational early with your glove side and your front side. Okay, as we get into front foot strike, look at where you're at. Okay, you're right here. Okay, now ideally, our shoulders are still closed off and our spine is back here in this area. Okay, and then, like I said, yeah, we're back. Our spine angle should be back that way on the back side of the center line of our body. Okay, another way to look at this would be if I drew a line straight up between your two legs, your head would be back behind that line and your shoulders would still be closed. Okay, so see how your chest is already opening up towards home plate? All right, that design on the front of your shirt, the Pavilion Days design on the front, should still be facing the camera. All right, but it's already starting to face home plate, which means we're opening up too soon with our glove side. Okay, now the reason we're opening up too soon has to do with a couple things. Okay, first, your back leg. All right, as you're starting to move down the mound, this back knee. All right, see how the direction of your back knee is going towards right-handed batter's box, almost beyond that. Okay, so what has to happen is, because your lower half direction with that backside is going towards the right-handed batter's box, your glove side has to open up early in order to get your body moving back towards home plate. Okay, so we need to have a little bit better direction with our backside. Okay, the second thing that is kind of preventing you from keeping those shoulders closed is your scap load. Okay, so the scap muscles are in your back. All right, and as we start to get our hand up, what happens is our scaps pinch. Okay, so see how your elbow, all right, it's almost like you're doing a row, how your elbow kind of comes back behind your head or back behind your body. All right, that action right there, where you basically are pinching your shoulder blades together. All right, that's what keeps your shoulders closed as your hips open. Okay, we want our hips to open. We want to keep our shoulders closed. All right, that's what is known as hip to shoulder separation. All right, but if you don't get into a very good scap load where you're not pinching those shoulder blades together very well with your arm action, then you're going to have a hard time keeping your shoulders closed off as your hips open, and you're going to rotate open early. Okay, so the reason that when you land at front foot strike and you look like this is because of poor scap load, in my opinion, and then also because you're not using this back leg or this back foot very well. All right, you're rotating open early, and because of that, you're losing a lot of power and a lot of velocity. All right, big athletic kid like you you have a lot left in the tank because you're rotating open super early. All right, we're not creating a stretch in our body known as hip to shoulder separation, and so we're losing some velocity there. Okay, and then from there, as we go into release, all right, now we're at this point. Okay, a couple things I look for at release is I want to see this front leg fully extended. All right, I want to see that thing fully extended. But the problem is, because you're so far out front at front foot strike, your front leg doesn't have time to extend. All right, you'll notice it's starting to extend, but because all of a sudden you have to release the baseball, it doesn't have time to extend. And so what's happening is you're not able to get into a good lead leg block, and so you're also losing some velocity there as well. All right, and then the follow through. And for you, I think the follow through is fine. I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on that, because the bigger issues for you are all the way back here. Okay, all the way back here. And a couple of things you might notice too, all right, is because you're rotating that front knee. See how right here, how that front knee is starting to rotate open early already? Okay, you're coming up onto your toe pretty quick on that backside. All right, and so a couple things we want to think about if you're trying to improve your lower half direction. All right, I hope this is making sense. I'm not rambling too much, but if you're trying to improve that lower half direction, is we want to keep this back shin or this knee over the middle of our foot. All right, so some things to think about as you're throwing is keeping that knee over the middle of your foot and trying to keep that back heel grounded for as long as possible as you ride down the mound. All right, if you check out the app, I think there's some videos on there that might be helpful. Like the pistol squat drill would be really good for you. The box drill would be really good for you. Reverse feet, I'm not sure if the reverse feet drill is on there yet. But take a look at some of those lateral drive drills, and those would be really helpful for you. Okay, and then I'm going to work on updating some more things like arm action drills and some hip to shoulder separation drills, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. And that would kind of give you some more things to look at. But for you, the big thing is working on your arm action and how you load your scaps. Okay, and then working on that backside lateral drive with your lower half. All right, especially with that back leg and how it's moving you down the mound. Okay, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. But hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of some things that I noticed, some things that we would be working on. I know this is kind of a tough time right now because it's hard to do things on your own. You're not sure what to work on. But those are some things that you can do. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask and reach out, and I'll try and help you any way that I can. All right, thank you.